Hey folks, this is Best in Slot. Welcome back to some much overdue Planet Zoo. That rhymes, that makes it cool. Today we're going to work on a underwater and overwater platypus habitat. And it's basically going to be like what we talked about in the last video. The idea is that there's this tank here on the left hand side that you're going to walk past as you also walk past our last habitat. And then when you swing around the corner, you should be able to look over the fence and see the platypodes. I'm going to die on that hill. You should be able to see the platypodes wandering around on the ground floor level as well, and still see the ones in the tank just behind them. I've never actually built an exhibit like this with this kind of fusion of underwater viewing right next to above ground viewing, and then they're kind of connected. I thought it was a really interesting idea. So that is what we're going to do today. Nothing particularly crazy happening here, just a nice, solid, good old-fashioned exhibit. The next video will be integrating some cryptid stuff with the bunyip. So I'll have to think of some stupid ideas for that. But until we get there, just a nice normal exhibit today. It's actually probably maybe not the smallest, but one of the smallest habitats I've ever built. And usually I'm not a big fan of that, but you know what? It was really helpful with this, because what I could do was really hone in. I think this habitat has the best foliage work I've maybe ever done? Question mark, smiley face. I think it all came together really nicely. And I think being able to like really focus in on this tight little area, I'm going to reword that. I think being able to focus in on this smaller zone made it a lot easier to really get the detail in and make sure every sort of angle and every sort of inch was perfect. So yeah, basically grabbing my little fence here. So the idea, of course, is you have to have a double fence because it's a zoo and zoos have double fences, because otherwise the people would poke their little platypodes in their adorable little faces. I keep getting lag problems. I think it's kind of understandable. This area has about 5,000 rocks in it. And most of them, like 90% of it, is underground. I was using the rope fence because it's from earlier, so it made sense to kind of keep it going. But I added a little chain link on the underlayer, the undercarriage, so that the platypodes couldn't just walk up to the edge and again get poked in the face by obnoxious zoo-going children. Everyone should go to the zoo, but they should also control their children. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I thought that was a nice little fusion of several things. Just checking there what the platypuses need, or platypodes, and I only used, I think this is part of the reason I kind of really enjoyed the foliage. There's two reasons I really enjoyed the foliage work for this build. Number one is the wattle bush. I believe that's what it's called. Well, 5 including the gum tree. Number one is the wattle bush, because the wattle bush is incredible. It just looks really good. I'm a big fan. And number two is I only used, I think, 4. I used the wattle, I used that the fanflower, the little pink thing, the purple thing. I used the gum tree, and I used this spiky looking thing. I only used 4 types of foliage in the entire build. Other than the underwater stuff, I used 4 types of foliage in the actual build. And I think it gives it a consistency and a sort of natural look that a lot of my stuff maybe doesn't always have. I think that's a good idea in the future. Instead of having to use every single plant contained. It helps that it's a small habitat, of course. But, oh yeah, is it wattle? It is wattle. Wattle bushes, man. Wattle bushes. What a bush. What a magnificent... It just has this... I just love bushes, and the game doesn't have enough bushes. It's one thing that Planet Zoo's foliage is actually desperately lacking. And also, like, mushrooms. Some fungi would be really cool. I don't know why we don't have that. But bushes is, like, a big problem. So, gum tree, wattle bush. I believe it's called fanflower. And then something else. This right-hand side is just going to be more mud walls. You can never have too many mud walls. I believe Mahatma Gandhi said that. That was one of his great quotes. You can never have too many mud walls. Tell your people. But yeah, it's largely very similar themed as the wild water buffalo section that we did in the last video. I was going to try to integrate the itchy thumb. No, you know, like, what's the bit called? This is not relevant. The bit called between your finger, your index finger, and your thumb. You know, you got this like skin. Is there a name for it? I wonder if there's a name for the skin between your fingers. Anyways, it's itchy. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so it's kind of similar to the that. There's a lot of rock work yet again, but again, because it's such a small habitat, I really felt I could just focus more on. It's funny because it's one of the more detailed builds I've ever done, but it's less than 2 hours. This entire thing was less than 2 hours. I don't really have a great plan for the bunyip. I don't actually have a great plan for anything we're doing after this. It's been a really busy couple of weeks. I do apologise for the lack of Planet Zoo. And Prehistoric Kingdom as well. Prehistoric Kingdom will be back this week. I should mention that as well. I know people will be eagerly awaiting that. I didn't expect it to be so long. There's just so much going on right now. I just feel like that's always the case. But I'm not giving up. I will finish the Wetlands Zoo. We're 3 animals in, officially. There's only 5 to go. And little things like this, you know, I was building like this little concrete barrier. There's some things I want to experiment more with. I'm still going to do stupid stuff, but I'd like to have a few more little details that make it feel more like a zoo, and make it feel like I actually put some bloody work into my exhibit design at the end of the day. But what I was going to say was, I really want to do like a building of some description. I've not really done any building work in this zoo so far. Well, other than the start, obviously the main Amsterdam bit is all building work, but you know, I'd like to build like an indoor viewing area for one of the animals. Maybe the capybara. I've already got a really fun idea. But other than the capybara, I don't know about for the rest of it. We'll have a little think about that. But I'd like to do a big old building. But before there, bunyip. I don't know what I'm going to do for the bunyip either. I can see it as this giant. Bunyip's a weird creature because if you actually search and look into the bunyip, it's changed so much over the centuries, really, that it's hard to get a handle on what it actually looks like. It's usually slightly dog bearish looking thing, slightly sealish, and it's kind of underwater and it's swampy and grog. I kind of like the idea of you walking through its maw into the innards of the bunyip. We could even do and build like, what if we did that? What if after this bit you're walking along and you walk inside its mouth and then you walk through its body and you see like its heart and its intestines, and we build it, you know, like a cheesy little science center that the tours you go on as a kid into these like museums that have the little science bit. And you can look at all the organs, like all blown up, just so you can, you know, learn science. I like that idea. I think that'll be quite difficult, but it might be a lot of fun. Ever since I've done that thing with the shark and all that stuff with the last build, well, the prior build, I'm kind of in that zone, you know. I'm kind of vibing with it. I kind of like the idea of just building some stuff. These, by the way, I don't know if I knew these existed. These small faux rocks, I've completely been ignoring them. They're pretty good, actually. They're a bit weird that you can't. If they're different shapes, even though they're all faux rocks and in theory it should work, you can't colour them in together. It's a bit weird. But I just wanted to build like a little pebbly block section going along here. Again, this is something I feel like other Planet Zoo YouTubers do all the time, or at least from the images. I don't watch other Planet Zoo YouTubers, even though there's some immensely talented ones out there, but I do see images on Twitter and stuff like that. You know, Caesar Creates, for example. I saw his images on Twitter, and he was one of the inspirations for a lot of the stuff I did, particularly in the last build. But I feel like little things like this, you know, little pebbly sections and little concrete blocks and all these little things is kind of what brings a zoo together a little bit. And I really do want my zoos to feel more like zoos, and then my stupid bits to feel even stupider. So that's really the goal. That fusion is very much the task. So there's a little underwater section. You're going to see a lot of this aquatic faux rock 07. There's probably about 200 of them in this build, if I had to guess. I mean, I just put about 20 down right there. Just sink them in, sink them up, sink them to the side, sink them anywhere, you know? Sink them, folks. Just sink them. Live your best life. I don't know what to say after I've said that. There's going to be a lot of rock work. Like I said, it's not a super long build. We're like halfway through already. But, yeah, I don't know. I just wanted it to look good. Use this rock a lot as well. I don't know why I'm using the faux rocks. I just like the faux rocks. They've got a faux kind of look. They look fake-ish, but they look more zoo-ish. And I find they're a little bit easier to work with in some ways. But I only used those 2. I think I dabbled with some of the others briefly, but it didn't really work. So I went back to just using this tall one. And the one you hide down in the ground. But it creates like a nice stepped kind of effect. And I would say if you keep random rotation on and you change up the layers and you mix things up, you can't really tell it's like the same rock 500 times. Anyways, we're putting a little roof over the top, just because I thought that makes sense anyway, right? You wouldn't want this open air pool. That would be really difficult to clean as well, given where it is and stuff like that. So you'd have a little roof over the top of it, and hopefully that would keep the platypodes nice and safe. I know technically it's not platypodes, right? People say officially it's I think it's platypi technically, but platypodes. I will die on that hill. They can bury me in it. I will be resurrected as a skeleton zombie ghost warrior, and I will die once again on the hill. For generations and generations. just hiding the tips, the white lines there going down the glass with some bamboo, because that's very much part of the theme. Again, I'm just trying to use the same building objects roughly across the whole thing. There's a lot of bamboo, contrasting that with this very sort of stoic modern black bar, and then the glass, and then the wooden. You just use the same stuff. I'm not sure it's the most exciting combination I've ever had, but I think it's important when you commit to a style to diverge from it a little bit, to give each exhibit its own personality, but also stick to it moderately rigidly as well, just so it actually looks like it all came from the same bloody zoo. So this is the wall at the end. I really struggled with this. Initially I was going to do the bunyip as part of the exhibit. I still might. I might do like a... Ooh, cheeky. I do build them a shelter, the platypodes, in a minute for the underwater, but I just covered it. I just think it always looks better when there's tons of foliage, so just cover it, yeah. What if, right, the maw of the bunyip was in the platypus habitat, right? And the maw, the mouth, if you're a normal person, is like a shelter for the platypus. And if you wanted to view them indoors, in like a little sleeping area, although, like I say, I do already have a little sleeping area, which you'll see later, but you walk in and you're walking through like the throat or something, and then you look to the left into the mouth and they're there chilling, and then you walk to the right and you walk through the body. So I could still do what I was talking about, but I could maybe integrate it into the exhibit a little bit more, which was kind of the idea originally, and I kind of got away from that a little bit. Like I said, I know what I'm doing for the capybara, but I don't see how I'm going to integrate what will be the mapping guari with the capybara either. Love these plants. I can't remember what those ones are called, but they're cool. Yeah, these little doohickeys here. Really tried hard to make the plants look good. Really did. I think people will be mildly impressed with me. They better be anyway. And the rocks make everything better. They really, there's tons of little rocks in the ground. Just give the ground a little bit of texture. All those times I struggled with, you know what I'm like. Where I really hate open fields and big wide open areas and stuff like that. You know, there needs to be rocks. There need to be stuff. Just like little rocks in the ground, and then you can add because the plants always look a little bit better if there's rock nearby, I find. So just throw some plants in there, throw some little rocks in there. It doesn't need to be a big palaver, and it brings everything together. And I think this combination was really nice. I just think there's something about this that really worked. It's mainly wattle. You know, the wattle pops up all over the place. It's kind of bushy and grassy and works like that. These guys kind of in the slightly drier areas, these heavy looking little things. And then random patches of flowers here and there as well. And always patches, never just a single thing. And like I said, it's always nice to... I think the rocks are like a framing device almost for your plant life, for your foliage. And I think that works really well. What am I doing? What am I up to? Right, yeah, so staff area, pretty necessary. Just going to hide them up there. My staff members are not allowed real lives. They live and die to service the platypodes. So they get hidden up there on a little ridge, which I will just block off from public view. I'm not necessarily committed to the idea anymore of blocking off staff members, but I thought given the shape of the habitat, this was actually probably the best way to do it. I decided I wanted a little bit more height, but I also wanted to have a little shelter, and I wanted it to be appropriate for the platypodes. I wanted something that was Australian and Aboriginal in particular, actually, and there's something called a humpy. Not a humpty, humpy, a H-U-M-P-Y, and it basically means a somewhat swiftly put together shelter, usually using natural materials, often lent up against a hill or like a little mound or a tree or something like that for like support. And it's just like a temporary shelter that people would build using whatever was in the area. The Aboriginal people in Australia, they'd build it and they'd sleep in it and then they'd move on or whatever. And I thought that was cool, and I thought that was sort of relevant to the style of the build as well. I thought it would be nice to build something similar to that, and it could act as like a little shelter for my platypodes. So that is what we're doing here. And I just wanted to give it a little bit of a rougher look. It should be constructed out of what they could grab in the area, stuff like that. It shouldn't be perfectly neat or anything like that. It's just putting a little bit of ramshackle on there, and then tying it all together with some lovely chunky bamboo, so it actually looks like it makes sense as well. And it was a nice idea, actually. It's always nice when you can bring in a little bit of something like that, a little bit of cultural flavour, you know? And maybe we'll do like a little education sign telling people what a humpy is. Because I think most people probably, if you're outside of Australia, most people probably haven't heard of a humpy. I've never heard of a humpy. This was the first time I'd ever heard of a humpy. Yeah, I learned something. It's a joyous occasion. So yeah, little shelter. So I guess this is what I was on about before, about the more. The mouth isn't necessary because I've already got a little shelter up there. But we'll see how it feels. This little bit was the bit that was really annoying me. I don't really know why I had this little extra pool, but I felt like there had to be something there, and I was vibing with a little pool, I suppose. So that was there, but the overhang is very sharp. Oh, I wanted flowers and foliage outside the humpy because I just thought it was more inviting. The overhang's really sharp and it's really annoying me. And annoyingly, it's like 3 in the morning because I don't sleep at normal time. So I'm pre-recording this the day before. And I just heard my dad. So I'm a little worried that I've woken people up. We'll see what happens. Anyways. Just wanted to fill something in on like right-hand side. We, all of us, are right at the edge of the map. And I hate it. Because I can't block off the outside world with like loads of trees like I usually would do. I actually have to build things. It's very upsetting. More rocks. I'm going to do this all the time now. Rocks everywhere. Just use them as pebbles and as edging and all this. Who doesn't love a bit of edging? All that kind of jazz. We're going to curve to the left very soon so I can start putting some trees in. And you're not allowed to see the world, okay? You come into the zoo, you die in the zoo. There is no world outside of the zoo. That's the law. So I'm gonna have to sort that out pretty soon. But at least, as long as you can't look out into the wilderness, that's fine for now. But building right here at the edge was a mistake. It really was. Just want to do a little bit of work over here. And this rock looks so good to me. That's the same rock over and over again until I got to the bottom bit. And it just looks really good. This kind of staggered, circular kind of appearance it has. It just looks great. I haven't actually added the platypodes at this point in time. I don't know if the exhibit works, quite frankly. We'll have to wait and see. But we'll check that out when we get in-game in a little bit. Which for me will be tomorrow, but for you folks will be any moment now. You see that overhang on the right hand side? See how it looks? It looks stupid. Still needs a bit of work. I think I do work on it though. Do I work on it now? I did a little bit post-recording, not much, like 5 minutes worth, 20 minutes worth, whatever. Yeah, I tried to fix it with these rocks, but I wasn't really working out, if we're totally honest. It's nice that they've got a little pool, right? They've got like a little, it's like a shelter pool. They've got a look at me, I'm sexy swimming pool. They've got a sheltered pool. They've got a little splish splash water as well. Those are the 3 things everyone needs, folks. Sexy pool, scary hidden pool, splish splash pool. Okay, those are the 3 requirements for both platypodes and humans. Yeah. Anyways, building again using the same tools over and over again. I'm not sure the metal fence is thematically that appropriate, but I feel like not everything would be in a zoo. I feel like you'd have stuff like this, kind of breaching that thematic gap. That's right. You heard what I said. Yeah, just trying to make the staff area a little bit more hidden from the side of when you're looking into the habitat, basically. And then we'll block off the other side when we get around there at some point when I think about what I'm going to do. Am I just going to build a giant bunyip? It sounds like a lot of work. But I suppose if I'm not doing any animals or anything, I'm just building a big-ass bunyip. Maybe it can just be a tunnel. Maybe I don't need to do the outside. Maybe you just need to do the head. I don't need to do the body, right? I just need to do the head, because you're not going to see the body. You're inside the body. You know? Anyways, yeah. Again, just using the same materials, the same ideas, just to try and then we can do an exhibit at the rear end of the bunyip. Anyways, that's it. So you'll get a proper look at it in game. Of course, we'll add some platypodes and have a lovely time. As who wouldn't with some platypodes? I was about to thank you for joining me, but I don't need to. I'll see you in a sec. Right then, folks, here we go. So, as in the last video, we have Buffalo Bog. There you go, looking very dramatic. Over there on the right-hand side, everyone living their best life, going for a little swim. Very cool. And over on the left, we have our platypodes. Am I high? I mean, is my character tall? Oh, there we go, yeah. So we've got a little boy in there, and yeah, there they are. So there's a feeder in here. I've added a underwater feeder. It's just about deep enough for the underwater feeder to work. It's not the most exciting underwater viewing, but I suppose in a way it's not really meant to be. You know, it's meant to be Oh, hello. It's meant to be fairly chill in a lot of ways. But I have checked, the platypus can go into this water here and then up the ramp and then all the way back down around there, as we'll see in a minute. Usually they only live in a pack of about 4, but I've thrown in 12 of them just because even if it's quite a small habitat by my standards, you know, for a platypus, for an animal this size, I would say it's actually quite a decent sized habitat. So I needed to fill it out a little bit. But yeah, just a rocky, planty underwater viewing bit with a nice little ramp. And then you carry on walking and you get this bit. I'm super happy with how this exhibit looks, must be said. Oh, let me check something super quickly, folks. Has this been fixed? It has not. For some reason, Planet Zoo keeps going to the wrong resolution over and over and over again. And I keep forgetting to change it. And I record and I upload in 2560. But for some reason, Planet Zoo keeps defaulting back to 1080. I was thinking that doesn't look very sharp, and now it looks super sharp. There we go, lovely stuff. So you walk along here. I'm going to put some info signs there or something. I need to still design the... How do I sound not like a dick? I need to design the visual language of the zoo. I still don't know what it looks like, so I haven't been able to do any animal signs and stuff like that. But you wander on down here. You've got your little double fencing thing with all the foliage in between, of course. Putting some rocks there, and your platypus can stroll around this little rocky outcrop little pond bit, go for a little swim still, even though, you know, it's not the full deep area over here, but it's deep enough that they can have a little swim, as a platypus would want to do. There's a burrow here with a TV, as you can see. That's connected to that. We'll have to come up with a way to hold that in, but I'm really happy with how this looks. You can still see the platypus swimming around there and the deeper one there, and if they want to, they can come up and walk down this hill, as you can see over there. That must be some hard work, admittedly, for a platypus, but they seem to be doing okay with it, actually. They seem to be okay. They're handling it. I'm proud of you guys. And if we carry on walking along, so... See up the hill there, we'll go in there in just a second. I've added a light to the shelter. We've got another burrow over here, next to the second pond. Just over there, and that one, of course, is connected to this television here. And I threw the water in over here just so the platypus would have more of a reason to go and hang out in this area as well. You want to put multiple reasons for your animals to go across the entire exhibit, basically. That way, hopefully, every single view has many animals inside it. But, yeah, let's head inside, I suppose. This is totally... Oh, no. Let me fix that rock first. I think this is because I put in a feeder and it kind of like changes things. There we go. Right, gang, how we living? Living large? Living large. So we head up the hill, which I tried to not cover in stuff. There's rocks on it and some texture work, but I tried to keep it relatively clear so they could easily get up here. There is the pool over there. Might put like a little pool side in, you know, like dress it up a little bit, maybe like an inflatable ring and stuff, you know, just make it feel more, oh my god, you're inside me, make it feel more like a pool. Little, this is the humpy, of course. I added a bush behind it because there's a little bit of light coming through, so I made me put a nice light on there to make it feel warm and cozy. Blocked off this bit with a little fence. I know that wouldn't technically do much against the platypus, but just to stop them wanting to climb over that gap there. And also this is, listen, if I go over here, can you hear that? It's the music from the bark underneath. Annoyingly, you can hear it from up here, which it's not ideal, it must be said, but it is what it is. Not much to be done about that. Yeah, I guess there's not much else to show you folks. You hungry? Who's hungry? Yeah. Oh no. Oh my god. I've never looked at this before. Ah! Oh, that's so many worms. So many grubs. My god. Loads and loads of grubs, and then there's one freaking monster at the top. I've never seen that before, unironically. Yikes. If I click one of them, you can see the habitat. There you go. So they really can explore the entire thing. All the way around, all the way around, all the way down there, all the way around there, up onto this, up onto the humpy if they want to, onto this little ledge if they want to. They've got, despite it being covered in rocks and foliage, they really have a lot of free movement. I tried to focus on using the foliage more as a border around where I wanted the platypus to move, if that makes sense. They've decided they hate me and never want to swim again. But this is my first time actually using the Burrow TV camera properly. It's pretty cool. I quite like it. See if there's one over here as well. I think they've all decided it's bedtime. Yeah, all of them have decided to go have a little bit of a nap. Oh, they're on the way out though. There we go. Hello, buddy. Hello, buddy. Adorable. Alright, go swimming, please. It's the last thing I'm looking for. It finally happened. Sort of. Who have we got here? This is the lovely Ellen. Ellen has decided to go for a swim. She's really taken the mick a little bit and only hang out, and there she goes. Ellen, curse you, Ellen! Curse you to the end of your days. Right, okay, whatever. Right, we will end it there. We saw the swimming loads at the start anyway. But yeah, Platypus habitat. Very happy with it. It's cool beans. Yeah, don't have anything else to add. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Next video, bunyip and I've got a plan for the capybara, as I say. I don't really have a plan for the other animals. I'm really excited about the crane as well. I think the cranes are absolutely beautiful, and I'm really excited to build with those. So I need to think of some ideas, do some research, blah blah blah. But the zoo is. I mean, look at the zoo. Look at what I built. Look how big my zoo is. I never do things like this. So by the time this wetlands area finishes, it's probably going to be like around. I mean, that's 3 animals right there, right? All this. So maybe like this for all of it. And then the zoo will carry on, and it'll lead to other sections, blah, blah, blah. And then eventually we're going to build an aquarium over there, but that's going to be at the end of the game when modding. Basically, I don't want to mod the game at the moment until updates have until development on the game has ceased entirely. Until then, the plan is we're just going to keep adding new sections to our Amsterdam Zoo. Themed sections based on DLC packs. Sounds like fun. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you lovely folks very soon. Cheers much of as always. Bye-bye.